Echoes of the forgotten. Train screeched to a halt at the desolate station of Ravenshire, a town long forgotten by time. Thick fog swirled around the platform, obscuring the few dim lanterns that flickered weakly against the night. Jonathan Hale stepped off the train, adjusting his coat against the biting cold. He had been summoned here by a cryptic letter bearing his late grandfather's seal, an invitation he could not ignore. Jonathan had never met his grandfather, Edmund Hale, the elusive historian who had vanished decades ago under mysterious circumstances. The letter, however, suggested that Edmund had left something behind for him, something of great importance. The letter mentioned Blackwood Manor, the Hale family's ancestral home, standing on the outskirts of the town, hidden deep within the forest. A carriage awaited him near the station. The driver, a gaunt man with hollow eyes, nodded in silence as Jonathan climbed in. The ride was slow and eerie, the road winding through dense woods where shadows seemed to dance between the gnarled trees. The moon barely penetrated the thick canopy above, casting a ghostly glow over the mist-covered ground. At last, the manor emerged from the darkness, a towering Gothic structure with ivy-covered walls and shattered windows. The wrought iron gates creaked open as if by unseen hands, and Jonathan felt an unshakable sense of foreboding as he stepped inside. The air inside was heavy with dust and age. Paintings of long-dead ancestors. Tours lined the corridors, their eyes seemingly following him as he moved. The letter had instructed him to search the study, a grand room at the heart of the house, where Edmund's research had been left untouched. Jonathan pushed open the heavy wooden doors, revealing a massive oak desk cluttered with yellowed papers, maps, and ancient books. A single candle flickered on the desk, though no one had been inside for years. With a deep breath, he sat down and began to sift through the papers, unaware of the shadow that watched him from the doorway. Jonathan's fingers trembled as he sifted through the brittle parchment. His grandfather's handwriting sprawled across the pages in hurried, uneven strokes. Words like forbidden knowledge, the veil between worlds, and the lost passage leaped out at him. Among the papers, he found a leather-bound journal, its cover marked with an intricate symbol, one he vaguely recognized but couldn't place. He flipped through the pages, eyes widening as he read. Edmund had been researching something ancient, something dangerous. The last entry sent a chill down his spine. I have found it. The portal exists, but they are watching. If I do not return, let it be known that the key must never be turned. The price is too great. A sudden gust of wind extinguished the candle, plunging the room into darkness. Jonathan froze. He had left the door open, yet now it was shut. The shadows in the room seemed to shift as a soft whisper brushed against his ear. You should not have come. His breath hitched. He turned sharply, but the room was empty. He fumbled for the candle, relighting it with shaking hands. Was it his imagination? The house, the letter, the journal. Everything felt like a carefully laid trap. Determined, he continued reading. The journal described a hidden chamber beneath the manor, accessible only by a secret mechanism within the library. Jonathan rose, heart pounding, and made his way toward the vast collection of books. The whispering grew louder with every step. The library was massive, its towering bookshelves casting long shadows. Dust motes danced in the candlelight, and as Jonathan scanned the room, searching for anything unusual. His grandfather's notes hinted at a specific book that concealed the passage, a tome bound in crimson leather. After minutes of searching, he found it. The book was titled Echoes Beyond the Veil. As he pulled it from the shelf, a soft click echoed through the room. The bookshelf shuddered, then slowly swung open, revealing a narrow stone staircase spiraling downward. Jonathan hesitated. Everything in him screamed to turn back, but curiosity and something deeper drove him forward. He descended, the air growing colder with each step. At the bottom, he found himself in a circular chamber. The walls were carved with strange runes that pulsed with a faint blue glow. In the center stood an archway of black stone, its surface shimmering like liquid glass. It was the portal his grandfather had written about. A sudden gust of wind howled through the chamber. Shadows writhed along the walls. Jonathan felt an invisible force pulling him toward the archway. He fought against it, but his limbs felt leaden. Then he heard it, a voice, ancient and commanding. You cannot resist destiny, Hale. The pull intensified, the world blurred, and then darkness. When Jonathan opened his eyes, he was no longer in the chamber. A vast, desolate landscape stretched before him. Twisted trees, blackened earth, and a sky swirling with unnatural colors. The air was thick with whispers. Figures moved in the distance, their shapes indistinct. Jonathan's breath came in ragged gasps. Had he stepped into another realm? A figure emerged from the mist. A man in tattered robes, his face eerily familiar. Jonathan's heart pounded as recognition struck. "Grandfather?" he whispered. The figure smiled, but it was a tortured, knowing expression. "You should not have come, Jonathan." Before he could respond, the shadows surged forward, engulfing everything in darkness. Jonathan awoke back in the library, gasping for air. The book lay on the floor beside him, its pages now blank. Had it been real, or just a hallucination? But deep down, he knew the truth. He had seen beyond the veil, and something had seen him in return. As he rose to his feet, a single thought chilled him to the core. The portal was still open, and it was waiting.